Part 94. Being a Bug in a Survival Game. Author, Kuanke. Chapter 939. Siepwea continued, fortunately, the boss and director Luomin are trying to protect you, and other factions that are friendly with the non-order and supernatural also agree. In the end, the leader decided that while giving you the freedom you deserve, you must also it's perfect to strengthen your protection and let someone protect you personally. Both the boss and director Luomin have no objections to this decision. Seeing that there was nothing he could do, Sutingyu took a step back and started to make demands. Okay, but I can only accept one person. No more. And, without my consent, he can't break into my house privately. Private sphere. Then I'll go and report to the superiors first. The matter was so important that Siepwea could not make the decision alone. He seemed to have put it on his cell phone to contact someone who could make the decision. Sutingyu waited for several minutes before Siepwea's voice came again. Ken. Then, Siepwea explained some specific contents. That person will arrive in Magic City tomorrow, and then he will go find you. This is his contact information, please remember it. Siepwea mentioned a series of unfamiliar mobile phone numbers. After Sutingyu found a notebook and wrote them down, he responded, I've remembered them. Okay, that's it, hang up first. Call ended. Sutingyu entered the cell phone number he wrote down into the phone book, saved it, and threw the phone on the bed. Sutingyu sighed. Good guy. Sure enough, after confessing, it will cause a series of troubles, but the current situation is not bad. Only. Sutingyu's eyes fell on Lucifer. That person cannot be allowed to discover Lucifer. At least, before the open beta begins, Lucifer's existence must not be leaked to an outsider. Lucifer, I want to discuss something with you. After saying this, Sutingyu immediately went to discuss with Lucifer. What's wrong? Lucifer glanced at Sutingyu from the corner of his eye. Someone is coming tomorrow. It is expected that an outsider will come to live here in the future. You stay in the room and turn down the volume of the TV series to avoid being discovered. Sutingyu warned while thinking in her head, wondering if there are any omissions. Otherwise, I'll give you a mobile phone. If I go out and you need anything, just send me a message, okay? Okay. Lucifer had no objection, as long as he had a drink and a computer. Qin-Chi, who had just finished his daily training, received the order and rushed to the district chief's office. Teacher. You're here, sit down first. The district chief pointed to the single sofa next to him. There is a task above. I think it is just right for you, so I recommended you to go up. It passed. Qin-Chi asked, what mission? The district chief explained, it is a protection mission. There is a key person, and the protection needs to be strengthened. Moreover, it must be personal protection. You have just returned to the army, and you haven't had any entanglements with too many factions for the time being. It's just right. Hearing this, Qin-Kai frowned. Where are we going? How long does it take? The Great Ice Age is coming, and all military personnel must obey the deployment. Originally, Qin-Chi wanted to apply for a refuge base closer to Sutingyu and others, so that he could be taken care of, but now. Just go to the Magic City. Wherever the target of protection goes, you can just follow him to protect him. The end time of the mission has not been determined yet, the district chief said. Magic City. The district chief noticed something was wrong, so he asked tentatively, what? Is it inconvenient? Qin-Chi stood up and said in a calm and powerful tone, promise to complete the task. Seeing this, the district chief showed a satisfied smile on his face. That's good, you can leave now and try to arrive tomorrow. Relevant information about the mission objectives will be sent to you shortly. Yes. Chinese time, August 30, 2021. 8 in the morning. Sutingyu, who had just finished breakfast, received a text message on his phone. With nothing to do, Sutinyu casually clicked on the text message. "Hello, I am the person responsible for protecting you, codename 07. I have arrived at your door now. Please open the door." Sutinyu blinked hesitantly. "This is," Sutinyu glanced at the mobile phone number that sent the text message. It's the mobile phone number Xiaoyu gave me last night." "You're here so soon?" Sutinyu raised his eyebrows slightly, and then went back to the room to find Lucifer, who had just woken up and continued to watch the show. "Lucifer, he's here." Lucifer stared at the computer screen and responded slowly, "Oh, I know." With that, he reached out and clicked the volume button to turn down the volume. After Sutinyu closed the door, the sound of the TV series inside could no longer be heard. Seeing this, Sutinyu went downstairs and opened the door with confidence. As he approached the gate, Sutinyu couldn't help but guess. "I don't know what kind of person is coming. Tisk tisk. It's best not to mess around. Don't even think about meddling in the east and the west. Otherwise, As soon as Sutinyu put her little hand on the doorknob, she hesitated again. "No. You still have to be more cautious. Or, give me a show of strength. Can't you invite a father?" Thinking like this, Sutinyu held his hands in vain, and the meteor rod appeared instantly, and then grew to about 2 meters long. With the stick in his hand, Sutinyu felt extremely safe, so he opened the door with a determined expression. When the people outside saw the door open, they didn't think much and just took a step forward. "Call." An inexplicable wind roared in front of me. "Comes with a slender stick." The man's expression was dark, and he reacted very quickly and moved sideways to avoid it. Boom! The end of the stick hit the tiles on the floor, causing several cracks. The man's cold eyes swept forward, but when he saw the figure who attacked him clearly, his expression was stunned for 2 seconds. Big fish. After one blow failed, Sutinyu was still muttering in her mind whether to hit her again, when a very familiar and clear male voice came. She paused in the movements of her hands and turned her eyes. For a moment, the two looked at each other. "Kikai." Sutinyu's eyes suddenly glazed over, and his tone became incredible. "Why are you here?" Qin-Chi took 2 steps back, looked at the nearby environment and the location information on his phone again, and then hesitantly said, "Are you, a non-order member, Angel's Kiss?" Cough cough cough. When Sutinyu heard this title, his guard instantly broke. Sutinyu asked tentatively, 07. The corners of Qin-Chi's lips curled up slightly, and he responded softly, "Yeah." At this moment, Sutinyu's eyes widened, as if there were 10,000 marmots screaming in his heart. "Wow wow 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 wow, you don't play like this. What is this? Large-scale vest drop scene? Or a large social death scene?" Sutinyu didn't feel embarrassed about the title Angel's Kiss before, but now, when Qin-Chi said it, she felt an inexplicable strong sense of ecstasy, which made her feel embarrassed. "It's been sorted out?" Why wasn't there a hole in the ground for her to crawl into? Why isn't she in the Moon, Mars, Jupiter, Pluto now? Qin-Chi glanced at the criminal evidence in Sutinyu's hand that had not yet been destroyed. As if he thought of something, he smiled helplessly. "Can you let me in now?" Okay, okay," Sutinyu immediately gave way. At this time, he finally remembered the meteor rod in his hand and hid it behind his back. After Qin-Chi entered the house, he looked around and asked, "Is this where you lived before?" "Yes." Sutinyu closed the door. Hearing Qin-Chi's question, Sutinyu nodded immediately, then pulled the latter to sit on the sofa in a flattering manner. "Kikai, you sit down first. Do you want something to drink?" "What? Or something to eat? I've stocked up on a lot of delicious food." "No need." Qin-Chi lowered his head and pondered for 2 seconds, then slowly said, "I remember when we first met, You seemed to be holding a stick and wanted to hit me. Cough cough cough. Sotingyu's face suddenly lost its composure, and her mind suddenly got stuck. She forgot that she could take back the meteor stick, but threw it directly on the ground, kicked it twice, and then tried to hit the corner. Quibble. Yes? Why don't I remember? Qin-Chi stared at Sotingyu's guilty eyes and continued to recall, I remember, I went to a place at that time. Don't say it. Seeing that he couldn't be fooled, Sotingyu turned against him and became fierce. Qin-Chi smiled helplessly, okay, no more. Get ready. We will leave the Magic City in the afternoon. The Great Ice Age is coming and the global temperature is cooling. Currently, all personnel are moving to the far south and entering evacuation bases. Sotingyu blinked his big eyes, oh, okay. Just in time, we can go find Fatty and the others. Hearing this, Qin-Chi shook his head, maybe not. I'm still on a mission, and my mission is to protect you from entering the refuge base. Fatty and the others. Sotingyu felt regretful, oh. That's fine. Regardless of what happened just now, Sotingyu was quite happy when Qin-Chi came to her home for the first time. Kikai, can I show you around my house? Although I have to leave soon. Yeah, Qin-Chi nodded. He also wanted to know where Big Fish had been living. By the way, Kikai, you are from the army? You took over the mission and came to protect me, so you should know my real name, right? Why didn't you look like you knew it beforehand? Sotingyu suddenly thought that she did not know Qin-Chi's true identity, but as a protector, Qin-Chi would not. Qin-Chi explained, I only know your code name. Your confidentiality level is very high. You don't even have a photo. As for your real name and the like, I am not in the same organization as you. Unless I want to, I can only know the code name. That's it, Sotingyu suddenly realized. Boom. Suddenly, there was a dull sound upstairs. Qin-Chi looked slightly stern and ran forward in a few steps. Sotingyu slowly turned his head, as if he had thought of something, he looked startled and followed him. Upstairs. When Sotingyu saw the scene in front of him, his eyes glazed over. Wow! Why did my refrigerator collapse? Qin-Chi lifted the refrigerator up. At this time, he noticed something strange in the refrigerator door on the first floor, so he opened the refrigerator door. The moment it was opened, a small figure flew out. The little figure flew into the air, stopped, and then shook the ice water on his body. He was still holding a can of soda drink in his hand. Lucifer. Sotingyu couldn't help but raise her hands to cover her face. Wipe. This little cutie actually ran out. Seeing Sotingyu and a stranger there, Lucifer also remembered Sotingyu's instructions and slowly fell to the ground. His tone was waxy, as if he was a little guilty. I didn't expect that there was something in the refrigerator. It was so hard to get the soda that the door closed all of a sudden. Then he tried to push it open and knocked the refrigerator over. Sotingyu was speechless. You are really, very smart, you can even shut yourself in the refrigerator when you get a soda. Who is this? Qin-Chi looked at Sotingyu with some surprise in his eyes. Ah, this. Before Sotingyu could organize an explanation, Qin-Chi asked again. Did you do it in the game? Yeah, Sotingyu nodded. Actually, he is just a prop, a moving prop. Hearing this, Lucifer was unhappy. Props or something, Lucifer followed Sotingyu and gradually understood the meaning, so he retorted, I am not a prop. Stop talking, Sotingyu glared at Lucifer. Qin-Chi looked at it and expressed his guess hesitantly, is he the same as De Hui? Yeah. It's almost the same, Sotingyu immediately nodded in agreement, regardless of the situation, and then added. It's just that he is more powerful than Big Hui. Lucifer looked at Sotingyu, then at Qin-Chi, and finally hugged his drink cup. What is Big Gray? Is it also a god? Sotingyu, God, Qin-Chi repeated in a calm tone. Ahem, actually, it's that, hey. Sutingyu finally gave up the struggle and made it clear to Qin-Chi honestly. 2021.9.1 0:00. It was a sleepless night. The panels for all closed beta players opened as scheduled. At the same time, all over Blue Star, no matter men, women, old or young, as long as they were still breathing, a transparent panel would appear out of thin air in front of them. Dear Blue Star public beta players, hello. Welcome to Parallel Paradise. Congratulations on becoming a public beta player of this survival game. You will represent your Blue Star to participate in the first phase of public beta. In order to thank you for your active cooperation and strong support, you will receive in-game everything can be driven by you at will. You can experience different identities and classes in the game and enjoy a happy life. Dungeon difficulty, 1 to 13 stars. Game pain realism, 100%. Any degree of damage received in the game will not affect reality. Players who fail to successfully pass the game will be placed in a punishment copy with advanced difficulty. If they successfully pass the game, they will get a chance to be resurrected. If they fail, they will die directly in reality. Players, please actively participate in the game. Players, please do not play passively. Players, please do not escape from the game. Click to enter the game. Being a bug in a survival game. Author, Kuanke. Chapter 940. What happened to this world? One sentence has become the biggest doubt for most human beings at this moment. The world is cooling rapidly, and sweltering summers are replaced by cold winters overnight. Ice formed on the endless sea level, and it was frozen for thousands of miles. Heavy snowfall, unprecedented in thousands of years, appeared in the equatorial zone, covering the gray-brown earth and leaving no grass growing. The coming of the Great Ice Age brings the first test to all humans on Blue Star: extreme low temperatures. The sudden drop in temperature killed most of the animals and plants on Blue Star in an instant, and even some unsuspecting humans. As they walked and fell asleep, they completely closed their eyes and never woke up again. Come. The Great Ice Age is coming, and the second test for all humans on Blue Star is the extremely rapid freezing. Faced with low temperatures, humans who reacted huddled in their houses, took out their winter coats, put them on, and then turned on the heater. But within just a few hours, the once bustling cities and quiet villages were covered in layers of ice and snow. Soon, the humans hiding in the houses realized something was wrong. The doors and windows were frozen shut, they were locked up. Inside. What the hell happened? I'm trapped at home, who can help me? Help. The signal is getting worse and worse. On all the major social platforms, everyone is frantically leaving messages on them, hoping to draw some comfort from them. But slowly, the overwhelming wind and snow broke down the signal towers one after another, tearing off the exposed wires in mid-air. Large-scale power outages and network outages began to occur around the world. Human beings surrounded by wind and snow, either alone or in a family, were all isolated in fortresses in the wind and snow. Darkness and coldness came, and everyone seemed to be abandoned and lost by the world. All the echoes. At this time, in an underground refuge base, Sutingyu turned off the panel and turned to look at Qin-Chi. The public beta has begun. Yet Qin-Chi found some girls' winter clothes and put them on Sutingyu. There are still 2 hours of preparation time for the first dungeon after the open beta begins. It is estimated that all humans will participate in this round of dungeons. After entering the dungeon, it may be difficult for me to find you, so be careful. Yeah, I know. Sutingyu stretched out her hands and let Qin-Chi put on her clothes. All the heating equipment in the base has been started, and all the staff who were originally on standby at the base began to work nervously. Kikai, I want to contact someone first. Sutingyu looked at the cell phone with no signal and prepared to leave the room to find someone. Well, I'll go with you. Qin-Chi had no objection. He just needed to protect Sotingyu and not interfere with any of the latter's actions. When Sotingyu was about to open the door and go out, suddenly, as if he remembered something, he turned to look at a corner. Lucifer was seen staring at the suddenly black computer screen, his little face slightly bulging, as if he was angry. Ahem, seeing this, Sotingyu coughed lightly. Lucifer, you can't watch TV series now, why don't you come with me? There are many people in the base, and Lucifer is a master who cannot be restrained. Sotingyu is worried that Lucifer is not under his nose. After all, there have been lessons learned before. Currently, only Qin-Chi knows about Lucifer's existence. However, Sotingyu trusted Qin-Chi, and the latter promised to keep the secret. Oh, Lucifer replied dully after hearing Sotingyu's words, then flew to Sotingyu's side and dove into the panel. Okay, let's go. Seeing Lucifer go back obediently, Sotingyu raised a smile and waved his little hand to Qin-Chi. After the two came out of the room, Sotingyu led the way. According to the location information Siepui gave her before coming, they walked for about 10 minutes and arrived at another area of the base. Sotingyu looked around and saw the figure of Jiepui not far to the right. Siepui was instructing two staff members to move things. You move the things over there, just put them there. Sotingyu walked over. Xiaoyu. Just leave it there, okay, you go and do other things first. Siepui noticed that Sotingyu was coming, so she pushed away the two staff members and turned to look at Sotingyu and Qin-Chi who were approaching. Siepui glanced at Sotingyu and then at Qin-Chi. Is this the person sent from above? Yeah, Sotingyu nodded with a smile on his face. Hello, I'm Siepui. Siepui extended her right hand to Qin-Chi. This guy is a bit noisy, please bear with him a little more. Qin-Chi stretched out his right hand, and when the two of them held hands, he responded calmly, she is fine, I will take good care of her. Hearing this, Siepui raised her eyebrows slightly and glanced at Sotingyu again, who was smiling like a fool. Her intuition told him, there was something fishy. Curiosity drove Siepui to ask more questions, but rationally, he restrained himself and asked Xiang Sotingyu, what are you here for? Sotingyu, I'm just here to ask about the situation outside. It's outside. When talking about business, Siepui's expression became a little more serious. The Great Ice Age has officially arrived. Although we have warned the uninformed people before and built a large number of evacuation bases, we still can't be foolproof. Our country is like this, but those areas in foreign countries. In other words, there have been casualties. Sotingyu frowned. Siepui shook her head. It is still impossible to count the casualties. The normal civil power grid and signal network around the world have been blocked. Only the state-owned lines buried underground can still be used normally for the time being. But if the global temperature continues to drop and exceeds the line, the material's tolerance range may be. After the public beta appeared, the superiors immediately dispatched troops to carry out rescue operations. I hope there will be fewer casualties. China is the most populous country in the world. It is also a big problem to arrange all citizens into evacuation bases in a short period of time. What's more, the advent of the Great Ice Age was unexpected, and many of the refuge bases originally built on the surface had to be abandoned. Suddenly, the number of truly usable refuge bases was reduced. At the same time, with such a large population, daily consumption is also a problem. Even if you are prepared in advance, you are now in a situation where every second counts. Don't run around. The first copy of the public beta will start soon. This is a special mobile phone connected to the state-owned network. It can be used in the base. Soon, it will also be installed in the refuge base. It's a traditional phone booth. If you have any questions, please contact me. Siepui took out a mobile phone and handed it to Sotingyu. Good. Siepui waved her hand. Okay, you go back. Next, you may be busy too, so cherish your leisure time now. Sotingyu, Sutingyu didn't understand. Seeing that Siepui was busy with work again, she had no choice but to go back with Qinchi. Sutingyu returned to her room and opened the panel. Now that there was no way to contact the outside world through real communication, Sutingyu could only use the friends system on the panel to send messages to Fatty and the others. After a while, Sutingyu received the message from Fatty and the others that they were safe, so he temporarily relaxed and logged onto the player forum. After the global network and power outage, and after surviving the initial terrifying period of low-temperature freezing, some of the humans who had just become public beta players began to study the panels in front of them with anxiety and panic. The various functions on the panel were not difficult to understand. Soon, more and more new players found the only channel to communicate with the outside world, the player forum. As a result, the posts that were intended for internal beta players to discuss with each other were suddenly washed away by a large number of novice players. Anyone there, who can explain it? Oh my god, the end of the world, are aliens invading Blue Star? What is this parallel paradise? What else are public beta players? What a damn weather, why did it get cold all of a sudden? Isn't it the legendary Great Ice Age? Tisk, tisk, so many new players are here. What new player, upstairs, do you know anything? Who has extra clothes? I'm so cold. I was originally notified to prepare something, but I'm too lazy to prepare it. Wow, official as expected, it turned out that I knew about it early and prepared in advance. New players, if you want to know all the reasons, you can check out the post of Alliance Miracle Red member Guoshi Wushuan, where you will find the answers you want. New players were scared and confused, old players were laughing at the show, and the forum became extremely chaotic for a time. Fortunately, soon, kind-hearted old players introduced the current situation to all new players. In addition, hidden personnel from various countries also appeared in the forum. Dear new players from the Celestial Dynasty, I am the member of the Alliance Miracle Red, Guoshi Wushuan. At the same time, I also hold an important position in the official army. First of all, you need to stay calm. Secondly, in reality, be sure to keep warm and safe, work and wait for the rescue of official military personnel in the game. Please do not leak personal true information at will, and please do not trust others at will, except for relatives and trusted friends. Finally, all Blue Star public beta players will be in 2 hours later. You will enter a dungeon, which you can think of as the dungeon in a traditional online game. The difference is that if you fail to clear the level in the parallel park dungeon, your life will be in danger. If you are in danger, don't give up. Remember, there is a powerful country behind you. Please also have faith that the country will not abandon any Chinese citizen. Wow, is Miracle Red an official organization? Awesome, my great heaven, I started planning so early. Then the virus in the past few months, policies such as no flying, and asking everyone to leave home less and stock up on supplies are all the work of the government. Is the official here? My home is in XXXXXXXXXX, please come quickly, I don't have many warm supplies at home, the whole family can't hold it any longer. And my home, I'm at times, come quickly. Sutingyu unknowingly read the forum posts for almost 2 hours. The official responses and actions were also timely, quickly stabilizing the mentality of most new players in the Tianqiao district. Sutingyu's expectation was correct. Miracle Red really had something to do with the government. During the Dragon Boat Festival dungeon, Sutingyu had met the Guoshi Wushuan, and it turned out to be her boss, Lin Wuxia. Since Lin Wuxia holds an important position in Miracle Red, the backer behind Miracle Red is obvious. After the start of the public beta, the start time of the first copy is getting closer and closer, with only the last 10 minutes left. 10 minutes later, the panels of all players around the world opened at the same time, and a piece of content appeared on it. The game copy is starting. At the bottom, The progress bar filled up little by little, and then, another Enter Dungeon button popped up. In the confused eyes of all the public beta players who participated in the game for the first time, they clicked it very intelligently. Sutinyu looked at this extremely familiar scene and closed his eyes calmly. Copy, Global School Opening. Background: the beginning of school is a new beginning, a new starting point, a new semester, carrying new dreams, and at the same time, it will also face new challenges. I hope that all Blue Star students can be mentally prepared and materially ready. Let's fight for a better tomorrow together. Number of players, 4,585,204,179. Mainline rules. 1. If candidates fail to pass the entrance examination, they are not allowed to leave the examination room without permission. Violators shall bear the consequences at their own risk. 2. After the exam begins, candidates are not allowed to communicate with each other or cheat. Violators will be responsible for the consequences. 3. Candidates are not allowed to attack the invigilator without reason. Violators shall bear the consequences at their own risk. 4. All personnel in the examination room must abide by the rules of the examination room. Violators will be responsible for the consequences. 5. For more hidden rules of the game, players are welcome to dig out by themselves. Main mission: pass the opening exam. Difficulty: 7 stars. Duration: 3 days. Pass-through rewards: after clearing the level, you can get a certain amount of game currency, a probability of getting game props and lottery opportunities, and a probability of getting free attribute points. Death penalty: 2 to 5 non-binding game items are randomly dropped at the point of death, and some game coins and experience points are lost. Failure penalty: 10,000 game coins or entering a punishment copy. Sutinyu opened her eyes and found that she was sitting in an ordinary high school classroom. There were 50 seats in a classroom, and they were all occupied. Sutinyu glanced around, and from the looks on those people, he could tell at a glance that they were all players. Where is this place? Why did I suddenly come here? Is this what is called a copy? Sutinyu heard so many exclamations coming from his ears, and a thought came to his mind: are most of the new players in this classroom? However, when Sutinyu saw the number of players, he felt slightly frightened. More than 4 billion players? If I remember correctly, the latest global population statistics are clearly around 7 billion, where have the remaining 3 billion people gone? Didn't participate, or did they all? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Being a bug in a survival game. Author, Kuanke. Chapter 941. Ling ring ring. At this time, a clear bell rang, as if to indicate that something had begun. At the same time, on the empty desk in front of Sutinyu, a blank piece of 8-inch B4 paper appeared, with no content on it. Damn. What the hell is this? I want to go home. I don't want to stay here. Sutinyu turned around and saw an identical piece of white paper appearing on the desks of other players. The new players were frightened by this turn of events. Some raised their hands and knocked down the white paper. Some jumped and rolled away from their seats, shouting that they wanted to leave. Hey, don't leave the classroom. Some veteran players kindly warned them, but there were also several new players who were close to the classroom door and rushed out of the classroom. The next second the 5 people ran out, their figures were quickly erased by a transparent blackboard eraser like handwriting left on a blackboard. Ah! How did they disappear? The players who stayed in the classroom saw this scene, and their eyes became a little more frightened. Just when the atmosphere in the classroom was extremely stagnant, there was a sudden sound of footsteps scraping the soles of leather shoes across the ground outside the front door of the classroom. Da-da-da. In the classroom, the players' hearts skipped a beat, their pupils dilated, and they looked at the front door with extremely nervous expressions. Who? Who is coming? Hello, naughty and lovely freshman. The sound of leather shoes was accompanied by a cheerful male voice entering the classroom, and at the same time, a tall man's figure appeared at the front door of the classroom. Ah! A girl screamed subconsciously after seeing the appearance of the person coming clearly. The person who came was a tall man, with a height of 1.9 meters. He was dressed in a strict black formal suit for men. He looked elegant. He held a paper bag similar to a portfolio between his right arm and his waist. But when he looked up, he saw that the man's head was actually wearing a terrifying clown hood. Viewed from the front, he saw a face that seemed to be separated by a dividing line in the middle. One side was full of exaggerated and funny smiling faces, while the other side was a shocking crying face. Behind his head, there were colorful wigs of his own, exploding and fluffy. Suddenly, the clown man raised the index finger of his left hand and placed it on his flaming red lips, making a silent gesture. There was a bit of strange elegance in his tone. The exam bell has rang, please candidates. Obey the examination room, don't make any noise and don't walk around. There was obviously no vicious attitude, but just a few words made the players present subconsciously shut their mouths. Seeing that the order in the examination room had returned to normal, the clown man seemed to be in a very happy mood. He took the portfolio, gracefully opened his long legs and walked onto the podium. The clown man raised his wrist, glanced at the time on the watch on his wrist, and then raised his head with a cordial and friendly voice. Hello dear and quiet candidates, I am your invigilator for this entrance exam. Before the entrance exam is officially conducted, let me first explain to you the exam content and exam room rules. This entrance exam lasts for 3 days and 2 nights. There are 8 subjects in total. There are 6 subjects during the day, 1 in the morning and 1 in the afternoon. The remaining 2 subjects are held in 2 nights. What you are taking now is the first subject test on the first day of school, Chinese. It is a 100-point system. The test time is from 8 to 12 o'clock in the morning. Candidates, please work hard to pass. As a friendly reminder, only those who passed the previous subject test candidates can continue to take the exam for the next subject. During the exam, please review the questions carefully and strictly abide by the exam rules. Now, the exam begins. After the clown man finished speaking, he started to open the file bag. For a moment, all the players' eyes were focused on the file bag. But when the clown man opened the file bag completely, there was nothing inside except air. The clown man poured out the file bag vigorously, as if pouring something out. Then he looked up at the players and said with a smile, let's start answering the questions. Answer the question? But what about the test papers? Sutingyu seemed to feel something. He lowered his head and looked at the white paper on the table. Rows of writing slowly appeared on it. At the top of the white paper, there are 4 words Chinese test paper in big letters. Sutingyu looked slightly startled. Is this the test paper? Sutingyu reached out and picked up the test paper and checked it back and forth. There were test questions on the front and exam rules written on the back. When Sutingyu saw the questions on the test paper clearly, his eyes suddenly froze. Topic 1. There is a word painted on the bottom of bed number 4 in room 404, girls' dormitory building C. Question 2. On the 7th row of bookshelves on the 2nd floor of the library, the cover name of the 14th book from the top, counting from the left, is. Topic 3. The name of the lady serving food in the innermost window on the 2nd floor of the 3rd dining hall is. There are a total of 30 weird questions in the entire test paper. Although the first test questions are weird, they are still within the scope of normal people's cognition. But the further they go, the more bold and straightforward the content of the test questions becomes. Topic 28. Patiently teach the naughty boy in the dry well to recite a complete teacher's guide / being a bug in a survival game. Author, Kuanke. Chapter 942. Sutingyu looked at the school map on the test paper. It has complete facilities and a large area. It is almost the same area as several famous universities combined. However, it can accommodate less than 200,000 players at most. This might be just a sub-examination room in the dungeon. Sutingyu was not sure that Qin and the others could be in the same examination room as him by such a coincidence. However, Sutingyu's first priority now is to pass the Chinese exam. Sutingyu came to the girls' dormitory building in Building C and looked around. There were also some candidates and players in the corridor. But when Sutingyu walked into the corridor of the dormitory building, she found that the entire building had lost all sound, and only the sound of her footsteps was echoing. Sutingyu frowned slightly and continued to rush to the fourth floor. After arriving on the fourth floor, Sutingyu looked around and saw no one else. The whole building was eerily quiet. Sutingyu looked outside the building and saw only clouds of mist lingering among the many buildings. There was also no trace of people. The structures of those buildings had also aged for decades. It's like a dangerous building about to be demolished. No, when you look at it from the outside, the entire school's facilities are brand new. Sutingyu walked on the corridor, glancing at the house number of the dormitory door from time to time. Dorm number 404, that's it? After going around half a circle, Sutingyu stopped. She glanced at the locked dormitory door, held it in her right hand, and the meteor rod appeared immediately. Sutingyu grabbed the falling stick with one hand and smashed it on the dormitory door. Bang bang bang. After a few seconds, the dormitory door was overwhelmed and the entire door fell inwards. Sutingyu stepped on the dormitory door and walked into the dormitory. The light in the entire dormitory was relatively dim. Sutingyu glanced at the light switch on the wall and reached out to lightly press it. No response. Is it broken? Bad review. The light tubes are all broken and they were not repaired in time, Sutingyu muttered and took out the flashlight from the inventory for lighting. The light of the flashlight shone on several beds in the dormitory. This dormitory is very deserted, and there are no personal belongings. There are only bare bedboards on the bed. A large amount of dust can be wiped off with just a touch, as if no one has lived there for many years. The edges of each bed are marked with numbers. Sutingyu looked over one by one and found the bed marked with the number 4. It's a lower bunk bed. What the test paper says is that there are words on the bottom of the bed. Sutingyu walked to bed number 4 step by step. Suddenly, the light behind him dimmed. Sutingyu turned around and saw that the door that had fallen down had returned to its original state and had even closed automatically. Seeing this, Sutingyu raised his eyebrows slightly. Okay, I was wrong. The speed of this repair is amazing. She didn't know if it was an illusion, but Sutingyu always felt a dark wind blowing behind her, but when she turned her head to look, she found nothing. Forget it, let's take a look at the bottom of the bed first. What are the words on it? Sutingyu bent down little by little and looked under the bed no 4. Suddenly, Sutingyu felt a little itching on the side of his neck. When he glanced out of the corner of his eye, he saw a handful of yellowish hair hanging down. Oh! Hair! Etc. The little fairy's hair is not as yellow as malnutrition. Sutingyu turned her head and faced a head that was obscured by long hair and had no facial features. Mom! Boom! A scream. Accompanied by a sap sound. A few seconds later, a dull sound of a heavy object falling to the ground came. Oh my god! What is this? It's so scary. Sutingyu held the falling stick in his right hand, and kept patting his frightened chest with his left hand. Sutingyu stared at the floor in front of him for a few seconds. Hey, this thing seems to be a human figure, with more than one head. Judging by her clothes and body shape, she looks like a female student. Sutingyu carefully poked the thing on the ground with the tip of the meteor stick. No response. Poke again. Still no response. Sutingyu was confused. Are you still angry? You can't blame her, right? Who told this thing to pop up and scare her whenever she disagreed? Sutingyu comforted herself in her heart. Yeah, it's not her fault. She is right. Just when Sutingyu was about to squat down and continue to take a closer look, the thing on the ground suddenly moved. With a swish, he quickly climbed under the bed number 8 next door using his hands and feet. Sutingyu immediately became wary and placed the meteor rod in front of him. Her big, watery eyes stared unblinkingly at the bottom of bed number 8. For safety's sake, Sutingyu first knocked on bed number 8 with a stick, and then poked at the bottom of the bed, but it seemed that it only hit the air. Sutingyu bent down and poked his head inside. When he saw it, there was nothing. Huh? Didn't you hide in just now? Where did you go? Just when Sutingyu was getting suspicious, she felt a little chilly on her back. So, Sutingyu stabbed out the meteor rod with his backhand without hesitation. Boom! It was like hitting something hard. However, when Sutingyu turned around and looked over, he only saw a black shadow quickly getting under bed number 6. Seeing this, Sutingyu raised his eyebrows slightly. Are you asking me to play whack-a-mole? The expression on Sutingyu's face became eager to try. At this time, there was a slight sound under the bed number 2 on the right side. The meteor rod in Sutingyu's hand directly lengthened and was stabbed in. Boom! I hit something this time. But after one blow, the bottom of bed number 2 was empty. Sutingyu took back the meteor rod. When there was a movement under bed number 14, Sutingyu quickly poked out the meteor stick. Boom! When Sutingyu put away the stick and came back, he found that the tip of the stick was stained with some blood. The corners of Sutingyu's lips raised slightly, and she continued to feel the movement nearby. As long as Sutingyu caught an unusual sound, something under the bed would inevitably poke him. Finally, after a few minutes of stalemate, it seemed that the thing couldn't bear it anymore. While Sutingyu's back was facing bed number 6, the former immediately pounced out. The long hair on the head grew more than 10 meters long in an instant, filling most of the dormitory. Under the long yellow hair, a terrifying big lip sewn with black needlework gradually appeared. At this time, the girl with her back turned made a weak hold of her free left hand, and a dark blood-colored knife that looked like a sickle appeared in her palm. The girl's left wrist turned slightly and the sickle was swung out. The long yellow hair that filled the sky was cut off directly by the sword energy triggered by the blade before it even touched the blade. Ho ho ho! Among them, there was a scattered sword energy that hit the head hard. The object that was originally thrown at him was swatted away and fell to the floor. Whoa! Sutingyu slowly turned around and saw a disheveled female student holding her head and crying. Every time she looked at the broken hair falling on the ground, her crying seemed to get louder. When she noticed Sutingyu's gaze, the girl stretched out her little paws and pointed at Sutingyu with a face filled with resentment, as if she was accusing her of something, but her mouth was sewn with needles and thread, and she could only utter oh 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 sound. Ahem, you can't blame me, can you? I thought you wanted to play hide and seek and whack-a-mole with me. Sutingyu defended herself, then turned around to see what was written under the bottom of bed number 4. When she saw it clearly, her expression was slightly startled. There was a large pool of blood on the middle part of the bed, and a lot of hair fell off the floor. Other than that, no writing could be seen. Where are the words here? Sutingyu turned to look at the girl with the hair, and asked in a gentle voice, do you know what was originally written here? The girl with the radiant hair huddled in the corner and was hit several times by Sutingyu. She seemed to be stunned by the knocks. She could only wow and had no other reaction. Seeing this, Sotingyu had no choice but to take action and dismantle the entire bedboard of number 4 bed. Then, she searched carefully, but still couldn't find it. So, Sotingyu's eyes fell on the blood stain in the middle. It can't be, it's covered in blood, right? What's wrong with this? Sotingyu took out 2 bottles of mineral water, unscrewed the caps, poured the water on the bed, and cleaned the blood stains on them one by one. Huh? Not really. After the blood stains disappeared, there was still no writing on the bedboard. Sotingyu lowered his head and glanced at the blood flowing on the ground, and suddenly thought of a possibility. It's not written in blood, right? Now I don't have any words, how can I sort it out? Sotingyu's eyes gradually focused on the pool of blood on the ground. An idea flashed in his mind, and he immediately turned to look at the girl who was spreading the blood. Did you write the original words in blood on the bedboard? The girl who spreads out is still immersed in her own sad emotions and can't help herself, woo-oh. Seeing this, Sotingyu silently showed the death blade in his hand. The next second, the girl with the radiant hair kowtowed to Sotingyu in horror. Okay then, just write a few words, Sotingyu directed. The girl's hair seemed to be filled with doubts. Hurry up. Speed. Sotingyu raised his knife in a friendly gesture. Your wrist is bleeding, so just dip your finger in blood and write. Distributing girl. Well, just write, Susu is a fairy. In order to avoid causing any trouble among the girls, Sotingyu decided the content simply and crudely. Distributing girl. I may not be a human, but you are definitely a dog. In the end, the distraught and indignant girl picked up her own blood with her fingers under the smile of a certain kind-hearted fairy, and wrote the extremely humiliating words Susu is a fairy on the bedboard. Not bad. Well written. Sotingyu gave the girl a thumbs up with great satisfaction. Just when Sotingyu was about to take out a pen from the storage ring to answer the question, a line of words automatically appeared above the horizontal line on question 1 of the test paper. Susu is a fairy. Pretty smart. Sotingyu looked at him curiously for a few times before putting away the test paper. Sotingyu's eyes fell on the radiant girl again. Hey, little sister, do you want to come with me? Sotingyu thought that no new residents had entered the Angel Monument for a long time, and when she saw the girl with hairy hair in front of her, her heart moved shamefully. Unexpectedly, when the girl heard this, her face instantly turned pale, and her eyes were filled with fear. With a swish, he hid under the bed again. Seeing this scene, Sotingyu blinked his big eyes with an innocent expression. Don't get too excited. Why? Sotingyu didn't like forcing others. Since the girl was unwilling to leave with her, and she still had exam tasks, she had no choice but to leave. Seeing that Sotingyu wanted to leave, the closed dormitory door opened automatically before Sotingyu could approach. After Sotingyu walked out of the 404 dormitory door, there was a bang behind him, and the dormitory door couldn't wait to close again. Seeing this, Sotingyu raised his hand and touched his nose, then walked away. After Sotingyu left, in the 404 dormitory, cries of "Wuvuwo" could be heard intermittently, which seemed to be a bit heartbreaking. After Sotingyu walked out of dormitory building C, the desolate and silent scene outside completely disappeared. In the corridor, candidates and players were walking nervously. When Sotingyu looked back at dormitory building C, she could still see some figures in the corridor. Sotingyu stopped for a few seconds and then left the place. Where are we going next? Sotingyu glanced at the first few questions in the test paper. The answer to the second question is in the library, which is a bit far away from the dormitory. The answer to the fifth question is in dormitory building B. They are all dormitories, next to each other, relatively close. Then let's go to dormitory building B first. Sotingyu quickly made up his mind. Guanyin Bodhisattva bless. Tais Hangla Jun bless. Tathagata Buddha bless. Kishan Great Sage bless. In the deserted corridor, a man with glasses was trembling something in his mouth. He was staring ahead nervously. From time to time, he turned his head to look at the house number of the dormitory door. Finally, the man with glasses stopped in front of dormitory number 603. The dormitory door was not closed, just ajar. The man with glasses tremblingly stretched out a finger, pressed it against the iron door of the dormitory, and pushed it open little by little. The man with glasses glanced at the door, but there was no one there. He hesitated at the door for a few seconds, then walked in quietly. In the dormitory, the light is very bright, and various daily necessities are neatly placed. At first glance, this is a 6-person room with bunk beds and many male god posters on the walls. When you walk in, you can see rows of small dressers and some girls' supplies on the beds. Just as the bespectacled man was about to walk to the toilet, suddenly, there were several footsteps outside the door, as well as the sound of girls playing with each other. Somebody is coming? The lonely man with glasses subconsciously relaxed when he heard another voice. He was about to walk out, but suddenly stopped. Wrong. A drop of sweat slipped down the bespectacled man's forehead. He hadn't seen anyone for so long since he came in, so why did several girls appear all at once? Girls dormitory. Being a bug in a survival game. Author, Kuanke. Chapter 943. Seeing the footsteps getting closer and closer, several elongated figures were printed on the tiles in front of the dormitory door. A slender white jade hand gently rested on the half-opened dormitory door. Then, a gentle and sweet voice came out. The sound of. Why did the door open? Ah! Another completely different female voice slightly exclaimed, I don't think I closed the door, I just closed it a little. Xiao Li, remember to close the door carefully next time and don't let any little mice run in. I got it. The bespectacled man who hid under the bed in time lay on the floor, not daring to take a breath. He raised his hand to adjust his slightly crooked glasses, and stared nervously at the 4 pairs of girls' leather shoes walking on the floor. The 4 girls outside walked into the dormitory talking and laughing, and the last one closed the dormitory door. Bang sound. It was like the bespectacled man's heart was about to jump out of his chest at this moment, trembling violently. I was so tired from the physical education class in the morning. The new physical education teacher was too unprofessional. The 800-meter test did not show any water at all. I feel like my legs are useless. There seems to be another math test coming this afternoon. Have you all reviewed? I forgot. I have been busy playing games for the past few days. What should I do? I don't want to fail the class. It's okay, it's okay. You can sit next to me during the exam in the afternoon. Xiao Lingling. I love you. Come and have some fragrance. Yeah. The man with glasses hid under the bed and could only see the legs of the 4 girls walking around and the chatter of the girls. Listening to these ordinary chat contents, the man with glasses somehow felt less nervous. This is a topic among ordinary female students. It seems that I am neurotic. Maybe the reason why these girls appear is a kind of time retrieval in the copy? The man with glasses spread his test paper flat on the floor, and his eyes fell on question 2. Topic 2, the names of the 6 female students, in room 603, girls' dormitory building B. The man in glasses muttered Xiao Li and Xiao Ling silently, and these 2 names suddenly appeared on the horizontal answering area. 4 more names to go. You can complete this question. Come on, let's talk. Come on. Let's talk. Say more. The man with glasses suppressed his excitement and continued to eavesdrop on the conversation of the 4 girls outside. Xiao Zhen, do you know this question? Let me see, this question is very simple. Xiao Zhen. Got another one. The bespectacled man watched with joy as another horizontal line appeared for the answer to question 2. Suddenly, he looked startled. Etc. The title says there are 6 girls, there are only 4 outside, so where are the other 2 girls? At this time, the sound of running water came from the bathroom in the innermost dormitory, followed by the sound of footsteps. "You are all back," a 5th unfamiliar female voice came, and there was another pair of legs outside. Seeing this, the man with glasses was secretly glad that he had not run to the bathroom just now, otherwise he would have been discovered. "Xiao Yang, are you feeling better?" "Hey, my stomach still hurts, but it's much better." "That's good. By the way, where's my takeout?" "Ah, we forgot to bring you food." Among the 4 girls who were originally gathered together, one of them walked towards the girl who had just come out of the bathroom. Her voice was soft and she was asking for help. "It turns out that I was in the bathroom because I had diarrhea." The bespectacled man thought casually, glancing at the question, and there was another answer. "Are you fooling me? I can definitely smell the aroma of food." "Have it?" "Yes." The girl's tone was a little dissatisfied, and her last note was slightly raised. Creak. The bespectacled man hiding under the bed stiffened. "Just now, did the bed shake?" What are you talking about?" A confused female voice came from above the man with glasses, as if she had just woken up from sleep and yawned. "Eh? Xiaoxiu, you're awake. Did we wake you up?" "I'm sorry." The bespectacled man watched helplessly as a few legs walked outside to the bed where he was sitting. He couldn't help but cover his mouth and nose with his hands, for fear that any sound would be leaked due to excessive nervousness. "No. It's just that I also smell the aroma of food." At this moment, the man with glasses couldn't care less about the new name he overheard. Not sure if it was an illusion, but the man with glasses felt that the relaxed and lively atmosphere outside disappeared in an instant. In just 1 minute, it was as if the scythe of death was hanging high on his head, and it would never fall down. The man with glasses had bloodshot eyes. He felt like he couldn't hold on any longer. Suddenly, an impulse surged in my chest. "Run! Run away! Can't stay here any longer." The next second the man with glasses moved his body, the girl's innocent voice with a hint of cuteness sounded outside. "If Xiaoxiu said so, then maybe there really is some delicious food in the dormitory. Sisters, why don't we guess where the food is hidden? I haven't eaten for a long time and I'm almost starving. Come on, come on. Let me guess first, the food is in the cabinet." With a bang, the cabinets in the dormitory were opened one by one. Seeing that she couldn't find it, the original girl was very disappointed. "It's not here." "Is it on the balcony? On the ceiling? Still, in bed?" After 10 minutes of suffering, the girls outside were very interested at first, but slowly lost interest. Just when the bespectacled man breathed a sigh of relief, a crisp female voice full of surprise sounded from behind him. "Found it." The bespectacled man's pupils suddenly shrank, and goosebumps appeared uncontrollably on his ears. He could clearly feel that behind him, there seemed to be some kind of liquid sticking to him, and the slippery tongue was licking his neck bit by bit. 20 minutes later. Sutingyu glanced at the dormitory door number. "This is it, dormitory no 603. Huh? Is the door not closed?" Sutingyu was about to take out the meteor stick and smash the door, but out of the corner of his eye, he saw that the door lock of the dormitory was open. However, Sutingyu still took out the meteor stick and gently pushed open the dormitory door with the end of the stick. There are a lot of daily necessities in this dormitory, including beds, quilts, water bottles, shoes, etc., but these daily necessities are all covered with a thin layer of gray and spiders. Net. Sutingyu pressed the light switch in the corner. The old light tube gave off a flickering dim light, as if it might burn out at any time. Sutingyu walked straight to the bathroom in the dormitory. In the bathroom, there was a small windowsill with several potted plants on it. The leaves were wrinkled and dark green. With sharp eyes, Sotignu discovered that the bottom of the petals of a small pot of sunflowers on the far right had a trace of blood red seeping through them. Sotignu looked at question 5 again. Topic 2, Room 603, Girls' Dormitory Building B, on the bathroom windowsill, the plant placed inside is. Isn't this just a sunflower? Sotignu reached out to touch the small vase containing sunflowers and found a piece of white paper taped to the side with Xiaoli written on it. Xiaoli? Is this a name? The owner of sunflower is this girl named Xiaoli, right? Sotignu retracted his little claws. At this time, a line of words appeared on the 5th horizontal line of the test paper. Xiaoli's sunflower. Answer completed. Sotignu walked out of the bathroom. Why is it so peaceful this time? Sotignu muttered in confusion. The door to the dormitory was already in front of her, and she only needed to take 2 more steps to get out. It's not right. How could it go so smoothly? Sotignu hesitated for a few seconds. After seeing that there was really no movement in the entire dormitory, he could only leave dormitory 603 with a slightly regretful expression. Sotignu's test paper no longer had any questions about the dormitory area, so she focused on question 3. The third dining hall mentioned above is near the dormitory area. You can complete the questions in the dining hall first and then go to the library. The third dining hall. 2nd floor. 3 white-skinned male players were lingering near each window, staring at the delicious dishes inside with shining eyes, and they kept swallowing their saliva. There's food here? There's still food here. Shall we have some? How about, we eat some? I suddenly feel so hungry. I suddenly feel so hungry. The 3 male players looked at each other and hit it off immediately. At this time, it was not the prime time after school. Inside the window, there were only 2 or 3 uncles and aunts sitting on chairs playing with their mobile phones. One of the male players waved to the nearest bald man, "Uncle, let's order." The bald man glanced at the 3 of them, put away his mobile phone, and approached the window. Today is the entrance examination. The food in the canteen is free for 3 days. What do you want to eat? Today is the entrance examination. Food in the canteen is free for 3 days. What do you want to eat? The language spoken by the bald man was automatically converted into the language most familiar to the 3 male players. I'd like this barbecue with some rice and vegetables. One of the male players took a fancy to a plate of crispy and golden barbecue, so he pointed at it and saw the bald man going to serve the barbecue as he wished. He turned his head and suggested to the other 2 players, "Would you like to try this barbecue? It smells delicious. Would you like to try this barbecue? It smells delicious. Indeed, beautiful and delicious, indeed, beautiful and delicious. Then I'll have this barbecue, too, then I'll have this barbecue, too." Soon, 3 plates of vegetables were ready. The 3 male players took their own meals and found seats. They couldn't wait to sit down and taste the delicious food. Yummy! Yummy! This is the best meat I've ever eaten. This is the best meat I've ever eaten. Oh, my God! It's delicious. Oh my God, it's so delicious. The 3 male players were devouring their food while praising it with a look of wonder and satisfaction on their faces. The 3 of them used the knives and forks reservedly at first, but then they started grabbing them directly, and the expressions on their faces became uncontrollably crazy. I have finished eating. I have finished eating. I won't eat, I won't eat. Someone realized something was wrong, shook his hand, and knocked over the rice plate. Why can't I stop? Shit. Why can't I stop, damn it? The man who knocked over the rice plate at the beginning suddenly had a flash of pain on his face, and covered his abdomen with both hands. Ah! My stomach hurts. Ah! My stomach hurts so much. Are you okay? What's wrong with you? I have a stomachache, I also have a stomachache. The remaining two people were not spared. Within 10 seconds, they were all holding their stomachs and looking in pain. At some point, the bald man appeared behind the three of them. He said in a faint tone, "Don't waste food." As soon as the words fell, the three people who were about to roll on the ground in pain were like puppets being pulled up by invisible transparent thin strings. The male player who overturned the rice plate had dull eyes. He lay on the ground regardless, grabbing the food that fell on the ground with both hands. "Yes. Yes, I'll keep eating. Keep eating. Yes, yes, I keep eating, keep eating. Can't waste, can't waste, can't waste, can't waste." The bald man stared at the three people expressionlessly. He stood still and waited for the three people to lick up all the food on the plate. Then, he dragged one person's feet with his left hand and two people's feet with his right hand, like dragging a piglet, slowly dragging it to the kitchen behind. Sutingyu glanced at the map of the test paper twice, then looked up at the third canteen marked on the entrance of the canteen, and breathed a sigh of relief. "I got it right this time." Just now, Sutingyu accidentally ran to the adjacent fourth dining hall, thus wasting a little time. Sutingyu walked into the dining hall and happened to meet a cleaning lady on the first floor. The latter greeted her warmly. "Little girl, do you want to come for dinner? All meals are free today." Sutingyu paused for a moment, took a look at the dishes in the window that smelled good and looked delicious, and felt unsatisfied. After hesitating for 2 seconds, Sutingyu's eyes became firm. "Forget it. I'm still taking exams now. Come over to eat after the exam." "Auntie, wait until I finish the exam." "Come and eat," Sutingyu said goodbye cordially with a smile. Before leaving, Sutingyu saw that the cleaning lady seemed a little reluctant to leave, so Sutingyu waved to the latter. Without paying attention, she didn't even notice the 2-meter-long Liu stick in her hand. Sutingyu walked to the stairs and walked briskly to the second floor. Without stopping at all, Sutingyu walked straight towards the innermost window. However, no one was seen inside. So, Sutingyu raised his hand and knocked on the glass of the window, shouting inside, "Is there anyone there? I'm coming." A middle-aged aunt walked out of the small door inside. She wore an apron in front of her body, which was stained with a lot of fresh blood. Seeing Sutingyu's eyes resting on her, the aunt smiled and explained, "I just helped my colleague kill a pig. The pig was so strong that I almost missed the pig's feet." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Being a bug in a survival game. Author, Kuan-K. Chapter 944. Sutingyu could have felt a little weird, but he still had a smile on his face, like a silly boy. "Auntie, I see that you look so kind, much like the old mother in my family. I would like to take the liberty of asking, what is your name?" The aunt looked kind and friendly. "Little girl, how about you order some dishes first, and I will tell you when you finish ordering." Seeing that the aunt was so persistent and enthusiastic, and still thinking about her belly, Sutingyu couldn't chirk anymore, so she ordered 2 or 3 dishes at will. "Auntie, that's all." "Okay, right away." Seeing Sutingyu ordering the food, the smile on the aunt's face became more genuine, and she quickly helped Sutingyu put the food in it. "Auntie, you should tell me what your name is now, right?" "My name is Luquiwa." The aunt achieved her goal and gave the answer with a smile. When Sutingyu heard the name, she said loudly, "What a good name. It's such a good name. It matches your temperament so well, Auntie." Sutingyu glanced at the test paper out of the corner of her eye, and the 3 words Luquiwa appeared on it. Luquiwa urged, "Little girl, the food has been ordered. Eat it while it's hot. It won't taste good when it's cold." Okay, ouch. I almost forgot. I'm here to pack food for my classmates. Auntie, why don't you pack it for me? Sotingyu apologized. Packaging? You don't want to eat here? The smile on Luquiwa's face faded slightly. Sotingyu didn't seem to notice, and explained, I'm not very hungry now. I really can't eat so much. It would be too wasteful if I only eat a little bit and throw away the rest. But that classmate of mine, I haven't eaten anything all morning, not even breakfast, so I must be very hungry. What Sotingyu said was true, and it didn't look like he was lying. Luquiwa slowly became dubious. Aunt Lu, hurry up and help me pack. I have to take the exam. It will be bad if I delay the exam, Sotingyu said. Luquiwa's tone was stiff. Okay, I'll help you pack it. Thank you, Aunt Lu. Aunt Lu, you are so kind, Sotingyu said with a smile on his face. After Luquiwa repacked the packed meals into the lunchbox, Sotingyu took the packed meals and left the canteen safely. After Sotingyu walked out of the dining hall, those all-pervasive prying eyes slowly disappeared. Sotingyu glanced at the lunchbox in his hand, and then put it directly into the storage ring. Where should we go next? Well, let's just go to the library. Sotingyu took the test paper and looked at it for a few times before confirming. Time passed bit by bit, and in this campus that seemed ordinary but was actually full of weirdness, all the players were racking their brains to answer the questions. It's not like there are no players who are curious about what's going on outside the school, but they can only see layers of fog covering everything outside. Because of the restrictions of the main plot rules, no player is stupid enough to risk his life and try to get out of the school. In a teacher's office, several invigilators were sitting on office chairs, blowing on the air conditioner comfortably, drinking coffee, chatting with each other, and from time to time, they would turn their eyes to the monitoring screen displayed on the computer. How about you guess how many candidates will fail to pass the exam this round? There are too many to guess. Let's wait until the last round before guessing. The invigilator said something to me, looking extremely relaxed. There is a wall clock hanging on the wall of the office, and the time displayed on it is slowly approaching 10:30. At this time, an invigilator saw something on the computer screen and stood up excitedly. Why does the evil spirit on campus feel so much thinner? What? Did you see it wrong? Where is it thin? I just saw a piece of evil spirit here, and it suddenly disappeared. It's still the same amount. It may be caused by some powerful examinee who moved too much when answering questions. This is a normal phenomenon. Anyway, there is still so much evil energy, it's okay, it won't delay the exams later. The invigilator who discovered the problem at first listened to his colleagues and slowly felt relieved. Maybe I made a mistake. After the interlude, the invigilators continued to drink coffee leisurely. In a playground on campus, Sotingyu held her test paper and focused on the last 3 questions. There are only 3 questions left. Once you finish answering them, you can hand in the paper, Sotingyu murmured to herself. Then, she glanced at the answer location for question 28 and put the paper away. Because the title involved being a teacher, Sotingyu also borrowed a book, Essential Classical Chinese for High School Students, from the library. There's nothing I can do about it. That long and smelly character's guide to teaching was given back to the Chinese teacher 800 years ago. But now, Sotingyu can only remember the previous 2 sentences. The late emperor's business was not halfway through, but the middle road collapsed. Today, Yizhu is suffering from fatigue, and the survival of the sincerity is in danger. I wonder if my Chinese teacher would be very moved if he knew about it? Hey, there is a well, it should be there. Sotingyu walked and finally saw a dry well not far away. Sotingyu walked over and looked at the bottom of the well. It was so dark inside that I couldn't see anything clearly. Hello, is there anyone? Is there anyone? Excuse me, your takeout has been delivered, please sign for it. Sotingyu walked around the mouth of the well and talked while taking out the meals that had been packed in the canteen from the storage ring. Sotingyu waited for a while, but there was still no movement inside. Sotingyu opened her inventory and swiped at it. Suddenly, she saw a small gadget, and she said he unconsciously. Gusts of dark wind hit, and next to the dry well that had not been used for more than 10 years, there was a petite girl, laughing nervously like he uncontrollably. No matter how you look at this scene, it looks a bit like it's a scene that only appears in some kind of horror movie. Ahem, cough, it's a conspiracy. Sotingyu took out two small objects that looked like marbles from the inventory, then bent down to pick up a small stone, and gently touched the stone with the marbles in his hand. After a few seconds, the two marbles turned into small stones. In fact, this marble is an explosive projectile that Sotingyu found in the Children's Day copy. It is a time bomb and can turn into the last inanimate object it comes into contact with. Sotingyu has been kept in the inventory and has not been used for a long time. But now, it comes in handy. Sotingyu set the detonation time for 10 seconds, and then gently threw the two disguised small stones into the dry well. Then, Sotingyu quickly moved away from the dry well and ran 10 meters away. Sotingyu counted in his mind. 10, 9, 8, 3, 2, 1. There was a bang sound. Two bang sounds. A stream of air spurted out from the mouth of the dry well. Immediately, an angry child roared. Hey hey hey! It's coming out! It's coming out! Sotingyu's expression gradually became excited. In the dry well, a black air surged up, followed by a crawling sound. After a while, a child crawled out of the well, exuding evil aura, with black and red blood clots all over his head. He looked to be only about 10 years old. The kid screamed, "Oh, I'm going to kill you." Sotingyu quickly made a stop gesture, and said with a very sincere face, wait a minute. Because I have to recite classical Chinese, the Chinese teacher is sick and can't come, so I asked him to do it for me. But the kid who climbed out of the well did not stop attacking because of this. Instead, he rushed towards Sotingyu with an even more fierce expression. Seeing this, Sotingyu sighed helplessly. Holding it empty in his hand, the death blade appeared and lay in front of him. The moment the death blade appeared, the naughty man's face froze as he was threatening to tear Sotingyu to pieces. Whoa, I have a lot of big ghosts. You go crazy. I won't care about it. While roaring, the naughty guy floated back secretly. Unfortunately, Sotingyu didn't understand. Look at this shy little gesture of refusing to welcome, this must be a hint. Sotingyu's heart suddenly became hot, and the death blade in his hand began to feel thirsty. Baby. I'm coming. 15 minutes later. I read one sentence, and you just say it, the late emperor did not hit the right road in starting a business. Whoa. Hurry up, I'll give you half an hour to memorize it immediately, hurry up. Whoa. Come on, you can do it. Whoa. Are you hungry? Eat something first. After you finish, let me continue carrying it. Whoa. Half an hour later. Under Sotingyu's patient discipline, the naughty boy was finally able to recite a complete teacher's guide and pass the test paper's criteria. Suddenly, Sotingyu felt the sense of accomplishment that his Chinese teacher had in teaching and educating people. It's still pretty good. Sotingyu happily saw a bright square root written behind question 28 on his test paper, and patted the naughty guy on the head with great satisfaction. Not bad, you are a talented person. Whoa, I've finished memorizing it, please leave quickly. Ha ha ha, don't you feel a sense of accomplishment? Me too. This bad woman finally left. The naughty boy's eyes were full of tears. But before the naughty ghost could be happy for long, it heard Sotingyu's very considerate voice, looking at you alone in this dry well, so lonely and cold, why don't I introduce you to some neighbors? With that said, Sotinyu took out the angel stone tablet from the inventory. The naughty boy looked confused. Sotinyu threw the angel steel out and took the naughty guy inside before he could react. Hey, help me greet my new neighbors. Sotinyu picked up the angel stone tablet, murmured softly, and put it away in the inventory. Nice. Next stop. Administration Building. Administration Building. Rooftop. When Sotinyu came up in the elevator, he found that there were many players on the top of the building, and all of them looked like they were suffering from great hatred. Sotinyu took a cursory glance and saw that there were probably 30 or 40 players. Hey, what can I do about this? The exam will be over in 1 hour. How about forget it? Listening to the scattered complaints from the players, Sotinyu became curious. Didn't it say there was a rooftop ghost on the roof? There are a lot of people alive now. What about the ghost? Ula ula. Mama haha. Oh oh. At this time, there was a cry from the front that sounded like a ghost crying or a wolf howling. Ahaha. Sotinyu followed the source of the sound and walked over. After squeezing out of the crowd, Sotinyu took a quick look and suddenly looked slightly startled. A male student whose body was covered in blood and flesh, whose face could not be seen clearly, and whose identity could only be identified by the boy's school uniform, stood directly on the guardrail on the roof of the building, with his hands open, his throat rolling, and he kept making strange noises. Sotinyu looked suspicious. Is this the rooftop ghost who recited poetry? What's the point of it? I can't understand them all. Suddenly, Sotinyu had an idea. Just give it a beating. If you are beaten, you will always be angry, right? Painful. Helpless. Just when Sotinyu was about to implement this good idea, a male player next to him caught a glimpse of Sotinyu's unfamiliar face and asked casually, "Are you here to answer questions too?" Hearing this, Sotinyu turned around and saw that the male player next to him looked relatively handsome and elegant, and he didn't look like a bad guy at first glance. Yes, everyone is gathered here now. What's going on? Why don't you answer the question? The male player suddenly looked helpless. The rooftop ghost cannot be attacked, and even the props specially designed to restrain such ghosts are useless. All the players have nothing to do with it. It keeps calling ghosts screaming here, and no one knows about it. What did he say, let alone what emotions he expressed? Oh, I see. Sotinyu suddenly realized. Sotinyu was still wondering. Why do so many players have the patience to listen to poetry without taking any tough measures? It turns out that the problem lies here. A ghost that cannot be attacked? Sotinyu didn't believe in evil, so he took out the death blade with his backhand. The male player saw Sotinyu suddenly take out a big knife and became slightly vigilant. However, when he saw Sotinyu walking towards the rooftop ghost, he quickly said, "It's useless, everyone has tried it." This male player was not a new player. He had some discernment and could tell that the death blade in Sotinyu's hand was unusual. But just before Sotinyu arrived, countless players confidently took out their own props, but then all of them failed. Don't look at the fact that there are only 30 or 40 people on the roof now. In fact, there were more people before, almost 200 people. But slowly, many players gave up and went to answer other questions. Another player is trying it, and it's a girl. This girl is carrying a knife. Isn't she trying to beat up the rooftop ghost? Is this girl just here being a bug in a survival game? Author, Kuanke. Chapter 945. Just when no one was optimistic about Sotinyu, Sotinyu stood in front of the rooftop ghost with a calm expression. She asked politely, "Excuse me? Can you speak human language?" Sotinyu thought to herself, if this guy could speak human language, he would be able to hear what he wanted to express. In this case, he would also be able to save some energy. After all, little fairies don't like to be rough. However, Contrary to expectations, the rooftop ghost ignored Sutinyu and continued to forget himself, crying like a ghost and howling like a wolf. Seeing this, Sutinyu sighed softly. You forced me to do this. The next second, the death blade in Sutinyu's hand swung towards the rooftop ghost. The rooftop ghost, who originally didn't pay much attention to Sutinyu's approach, suddenly felt a strong sense of danger. It feels like the second death is coming. What happened? The rooftop ghost looked confused. All the onlookers saw the flash of the sword, and the death blade in Sutinyu's hand directly cut off one of the rooftop ghost's palms. The unresponsive rooftop ghost subconsciously looked at his severed palm. After 2 seconds, he finally let out a real ghost cry and wolf howl. Oh! Oh my god, oh my god! It hurts so much, it hurts me so much. Whoa! What on earth is going on with this human being? She was able to hit me? This is not scientific at all. The onlookers who originally wanted to see Sutinyu make a fool of themselves were dumbfounded when they saw this scene, and they all looked suspicious of life. What's going on? Why can he attack the rooftop ghost? Oh my god! I'm not blind, am I? What is the weapon that girl is holding? It looks like it is of high quality. Seeing that his attack was effective, Sutinyu directly used the blade of the death blade to shoot down the rooftop ghost, and then began a round of brutal and inhumane beatings. That scene, tisk tisk, flesh and blood flying everywhere. Holy shit, this. Really? You should not be judged by appearance, what a fierce girl. Sutinyu's actions were very measured. It not only makes the rooftop ghost feel pain, but also does not directly destroy its soul. Is it sad? Is it hurt? Whoa! Despair or not? Helpless or not? Whoa! Angry? Do you want to cry? Every once in a while, Sutinyu asked the rooftop ghost a question. Since she couldn't understand what the rooftop ghost was saying, she could only judge by the changes in his expression. It doesn't feel sad enough. No, it's not desperate enough. The anger is a little less, you continue to brew. Sutinyu's idea was simple. No matter what her poetic feelings are. So complicated. As long as the kid is beaten until he has no life left and is in grief, then, naturally, he will only express his thoughts and feelings of despair, helplessness, pain, and sorrow. Then, fill in the answers yourself and you'll be done. Simple. Easily. But after Sutinyu beat him for a while, he suddenly realized the problem. Nope. Although I can beat up the rooftop ghost, I can't understand its words, and I can't guarantee that my feelings are really true. Not enough? If only I could understand it. Sutinyu thought of the residents in the angel stone tablet. They were all of the same kind, so they should be able to understand them, right? However, in public, it would be better if the trump card is less exposed. After thinking about it, Sutinyu stopped unilaterally crushing the rooftop ghosts, turned to look at the players present, and said, "Do any of you have a tool that can test truth-telling?" When Sutinyu saw no one responded, he took out his test paper and shook it in front of the players. Soon, other players understood the meaning. One player immediately raised his hand, I have it. Sutinyu winked, and the player handed a prop that looked like candy to the former. After getting it, Sutinyu continued, who has a prop that can make him speak? By the way, he has to speak human language. After saying that, Sutinyu pointed at the rooftop ghost. I have it, another player came out. He gave a banknote prop to Sutinyu. Sutinyu checked the usage of the next two props. Props, truth candy. Grade, diamond. Function, an ordinary gummy candy, just eat it, it lasts for 15 minutes. Usage, once. Note, want to know if your boyfriend has cheated on you? Props, money can make ghosts talk. Grade, Bronze. Function, stick on the user, effective for 8 minutes. Usage, once. Note, nowadays, ghosts can speak human language, so what nonsense do people still speak? After understanding the specific usage of the two props, Sotinyu friendly asked the rooftop ghost to swallow the candy without saying a word, and put the banknotes on his forehead. The moment the banknotes came into contact with the rooftop ghost, they automatically burned. Come on, express your thoughts and feelings. Sotinyu still spoke in a friendly, evil, likes and dislikes manner, with a smile on his face. I. The rooftop ghost was able to speak human words, and his voice was a little shy, and he was in the process of changing his voice. You, stop fighting. Weevu. Sotinyu, then tell me quickly. After saying that, Sotinyu also gestured to the death blade in his hand. It feels a little sore to hold it. The rooftop ghost trembled and said, I am very sad, painful, and desperate. I feel helpless and weak. I am in so much trouble. As he spoke, the rooftop ghost burst into tears. Stand up. Hearing this, Sotinyu immediately wrote the rooftop ghost's words on the test paper word for word. Other players realized it later and started writing answers one after another. For a while, the scene on the rooftop was quite quiet and peaceful. Some players who had just arrived were confused about the situation and asked the people next to them, "What's wrong?" Because they couldn't cheat each other, the player who was asked could only say vaguely, "You will know it when you go and look at it from the front." This opportunity is not to be missed. After Sotinyu finished writing the topic, he took out the angel stone tablet, slapped the rooftop ghost on the forehead, and took the ladder inside. Yo West. Leave. When Sotinyu was about to leave the roof, a male player suddenly stopped Sotinyu. Wait a moment. Sotinyu asked in confusion, what's wrong? Male player, you took the rooftop ghost away, what will happen to the people who come to take the exam later? Hearing this, Sotinyu blinked his big eyes, yes. In this round of dungeons, players don't have to fight each other, and Sotinyu doesn't have to cut off others' escape routes. However, she couldn't let go of the rooftop ghost. Because, after Sotinyu took in some new residents, the angel steel gave feedback that the more residents there were, the more and stronger the steel itself could exert its power. Sotinyu thought for a few seconds and came up with a good idea. Sotinyu took out a big speaker and asked the rooftop ghost to express his feelings sincerely again. After recording the sound, Sotinyu asked the rooftop ghost to place the loudspeaker where it originally stood reading the poem and start playing it in a loop. At this moment, I just want to express my sadness, pain, despair, helplessness, and weak thoughts and feelings. The effect of the candy is still there, so I don't have to worry about the rooftop ghost telling lies. Done, Sotinyu took the rooftop ghost back to the angel stone tablet. Then, she turned to look at the player and said, well, that's enough. I'll leave first. After saying that, Sotinyu ignored the shocked expression on the player's face and left the rooftop. After Sotinyu left, some of the players couldn't hold back their voices. Who is this person? She is Angel Su. Oh my god, I actually met Gaowan. For a time, the old players were even more impressed by Sotinyu, and the admiration in their hearts was like an endless river, while the new players looked confused and instinctively approached the old players to inquire about the situation. As for Sotinyu, who had hidden his merits and fame, after coming out of the administration building, he quietly found an empty classroom and took out the angel tablet. Now, on Sotinyu's test paper, there was only one big question left to finish. Topic 30, please feel free to write a short essay of no less than 200 words. The theme of the essay is my entrance examination. The story is required to be true, full of emotions, fluent in writing, and has won 5 non-candidates and approval of non-proctors. As for how to accomplish it, Sotinyu had already thought of a way. Everyone, come out. Sotinyu cleared his throat. The next second, the angel steel flashed several white lights. In front of Sutingyu, several phantoms floating in the air appeared, among which the naughty ghost and the rooftop ghost were prominently among them. After being released, the 5 little ghosts lined up in a line fearfully, all with their heads lowered, not daring to look directly at Sutingyu. Because of the constraints of the angel stone tablet, the little devils cannot escape. Now, I'll give you a glorious and easy task. Sutingyu made his intention of calling them out clear. As a result, the 5 kids' expressions seemed to be a little more speechless, but they could only obey the instructions honestly. Sutingyu thought about it for a while, and then wrote a short essay on the test paper. After finishing writing, Sutingyu coughed slightly, took the test paper, and began to read aloud. Today, the sun is shining and the weather is clear. I have stepped into the school for the first time. The invigilator and classmates are very friendly and kind. I am very grateful to the school for allowing me to come here to take the exam. I will definitely not let the school down. Cultivate and strive to get excellent results. Sutingyu read it 3 times in a row, but the question was not checked, which meant that the 5 brats in front of him did not all sincerely approve of his essay. So, after Sutingyu had another friendly exchange, finally, when Sutingyu read it for the 7th time, a tick appeared next to the question. Wow! It's finally done. Sutingyu took out a bottle of mineral water and drank half of it. Sutingyu looked at the exam time and saw that only the last 15 minutes were left. It's time to hand in the papers. If the paper is not submitted in time, the results will be invalid. Sutingyu put the 5 little ghosts back into the angel stone tablet and set off immediately. At this time, the other players hurried to the teaching building. It took Sutingyu 8 minutes to get to the downstairs of the teaching building where the examination room was originally located. There is enough time, and in the remaining 7 minutes, you can climb up even if you climb. Sutingyu stepped into the teaching building. The corridor was very crowded. After all the players had returned. And officially, there was a commotion ahead. What's going on? Is this still the 3rd floor? Didn't you go up? What the hell? Damn it! Why can't you get to the 4th floor? Sutingyu was about to go to the front to check the situation. At this time, Lucifer, who had been the transparent god in Deathblade, suddenly spoke. You seem to be in some trouble. Lucifer's voice rang in Sutingyu's mind. The latter glanced at the players around him warily, but none of them heard him. Do you need help? Sutingyu stopped and whispered, What's wrong? Do you see something fishy? Here, it's a bit like something has created an illusory space. If you don't break it, it will keep looping and you won't be able to get out, Lucifer explained. Sutingyu blinked his big eyes. Can you break it? Lucifer, actually, you can do it too. The Deathblade restrains all spiritual means. Illusion space is also one of them. It also blinds the 5 senses. Sutingyu replied, but there are too many people here. I just made enough limelight in the administration building. So, let me ask you, do you need help? Sutingyu's eyes lit up slightly. Can you take action quietly? Lucifer is now the spirit of the Deathblade, so he can naturally use the Deathblade's ability. The key is to do it quietly and not to be exposed. Okay, you lean against the wall first. Sutingyu did as Lucifer said and squeezed into the corner little by little. Okay, Sutingyu held the wall with one hand. The next second, the palm of his right hand, which was holding the wall, became slightly hot. A faint light flashed, and Sutingyu opened his eyes wide. The Deathblade has reached the palm of his hand. Still showing up? The moment the tip of the Deathblade touched the wall, circles of transparent ripples appeared on the wall. Soon, the entire corridor began to tremble violently. What happened again? Mad. There's almost no time to hand in the paper. This building isn't going to collapse. Just when the players were confused, the corridor trembled for half a minute and then returned to normal. At the corner, Sutinyu received Lucifer's signal. That's it? So Sutinyu squeezed forward. The players at the front did not believe in evil and continued to move forward, but this time, they walked out. Okay. Come out. There's no time. Go and hand in the paper. The ones in the back. Stop squeezing. Sutinyu followed the flow of people and squeezed out of the corridor to the fourth floor. Sutinyu hurried to her examination room without stopping. When she entered the door, her first sight was the clown man waiting on the podium. When the clown man saw the candidates coming, he smiled and greeted them, but didn't take them seriously. Until the second candidate came in. The third candidate came in. The fourth candidate came in. The fifth candidate came in, one after another. Almost half of the candidates came back. The clown man suddenly lost his composure. Being a bug in a survival game. Author, Kuanke. Chapter 946. Mr. Invigilator, can you hand in your papers now? Sutinyu noticed that the clown on the podium had not moved, so he reminded him kindly. It's time to hand in the paper. The clown man came back to his senses and raised his hand to wave. Suddenly, all the test papers in everyone's hands disappeared. The next second, those test papers appeared on the podium. The clown man snapped his fingers, and a red pen appeared out of thin air on top of the test paper. In everyone's surprised eyes, the red pen automatically started correcting the test paper. Moreover, the correction speed is very fast. It takes almost 10 seconds to complete the correction of a test paper. Part of the corrected test paper flew out and fell into the hands of the clown man. The clown man glanced at the names on the test paper, then turned to look at the players, and read out the names on the test paper with a smile. The king of dry rice is eliminated. Tonkechun locks Chiao deeply and eliminates him. A dog's talk will lead to elimination. Ocean, you are all water, eliminated. Master Guashat, please work harder, I will be eliminated. All players whose names were read disappeared within 5 seconds. This means that those players have been eliminated. When the clown man had no test papers in hand, there were only 25 players left who could sit in this examination room. See this result. Sutinyu didn't feel very relaxed either. 25 people. In this examination room, just one Chinese language test eliminated half of the players. If this data were placed in all examination rooms, it would be equivalent to the original 4 billion players, and now there are only 2 billion left. There are still 5 exams to go. This kind of elimination rate is a bit too scary. If this elimination rate is maintained in the subsequent 5 exams, by the time the dungeon is cleared, the number of players who can successfully pass the level should be less than 100 million. And among those players who were eliminated, most of them must be new players. Now there is no protection mechanism for new players when they enter the game for the first time. Once they fail to clear the level, they will have to face a punishment copy with increased difficulty. As for successfully passing the level from the punishment part, the difficulty can be imagined. So, after this round of public beta copies, the number of humans who can still survive on Blue Star is expected to be greatly reduced. Very good, congratulations. The clown man was about to announce the results of the Chinese language test when the red pen on the podium suddenly came over and poked him. Gugu. The clown man turned around and looked over, and found that there was still an uncorrected test paper on the podium. What's going on? The clown man asks Yang Hongbai. Gugu. The red pen floated in the air, shaking left and right, as if it was saying something. The clown man picked up the uncorrected test paper and read it. Ahaha. When the clown man saw the first question, he was a little confused. Topic 1, there is a word, Susu is a fairy, painted on the bottom of bed number 4 in room 404, building C, the girls' dormitory. This kind of question must be across. The clown man glanced at the red pen. The question clearly mentioned one word, but this test filled in 5 words on it. Such a simple mistake, even a fool can see it. Goo. Hungbai immediately started to defend. Then, it also threw out a small book with the words reference answer printed on it. As the clown man opened the reference answer, he asked dissatisfiedly, "That's it? I still need to see the answer." But when he saw the reference answer, he was completely stunned. Reference answer: Susu is a fairy. What? What's the situation? Is the reference answer printed wrong? It's not right. This reference answer is updated in real time and is absolutely accurate. Wait, real-time updates? 1. The clown man suddenly caught something crucial. He took out a tablet with his backhand and immediately opened a monitor. Soon, a face was displayed on the screen, and it turned out to be the bedboard of bed number 4 in room 404, girls' dormitory building C. A lot of blood was smeared on it and had solidified, but the most eye-catching thing was undoubtedly the 5 characters written in blood. Susu is a fairy. Depend on. What's going on? What the hell? What? Who changed the answer? You said she was a fairy? This guy is so shameless. The clown man's heart is going crazy. Achoo. Below, Sutingyu sneezed slightly. When the clown man calmed down a little, he gritted his teeth and looked down. Okay. He passed this first question very well. But within a few seconds, the corners of the clown man's mouth began to twitch again. The reference answer has changed again? The reference answer has changed again. The reference answer has changed again. Looking along the way, only a few small parts of the answer have not been changed. When he saw the second to last question, under the mask, the clown man's eyes widened in shock. Holy shit! Someone was able to answer it, and it was exactly the same as the reference answer. That's not right. I clearly remember that the reference answer to this question is that there is no answer. The clown man had read all the questions beforehand, and because this set of questions was so weird, he was inevitably a little impressed. Moreover, this is not a question that people can type at all. It is reserved specifically to deceive people. If you don't even have an answer, it's just a lie. But now, detailed answers appear above the reference answers. Grass. What is going on? The clown man was very suspicious of life and his eyes fell on the last big question, looking at the short essay of more than 200 words written on it. The true feelings contained in it are about to burst out, making the clown man cry. But the clown man was not moved. His first reaction was, this player must be poisonous. A copy that was full of dangers and life-threatening was transformed into a positive and grateful exam. Is this something that a person can come up with? Is it a human being? Who is Angel Su? The clown man couldn't bear it any longer. He raised his head and shouted angrily at all the players. Angel Su. Who is Angel Su? Holy crap, Angel Su is also in this classroom. In the eyes of all the players who were confused or surprised, Sutingyuzai had to raise his hand when his name was suddenly called. Sutingyu asked very politely, Mr. Invigilator, is something wrong? Are you Angel Su? The clown man said with gritted teeth. Sutingyu blinked his big eyes, yes, I am. Is there anything wrong? Is there something wrong with my test paper? I should have passed the exam. Haha, passed. The clown man couldn't help but look at the test paper in hand again, and twitched the corners of his mouth. He really couldn't refute this. Although the clown man really wanted to eliminate this strange player, due to the rules of the examination room, he could only deeply restrain his impulse. The clown man took a deep breath. Yes, you passed. After saying that, he threw the test paper in his hand onto the podium as if to vent his anger. The red pen responsible for correction has long since disappeared silently. Okay, The rest of you have passed the Chinese language test. Next, you will have an hour to eat and an hour to take a lunch break. You will have a math test in the afternoon. That's it. I can move around freely now, but the premise is that I can't leave the school." After the clown man finished speaking, he took a deep look at Sotingyu and disappeared on the spot. After the clown man left, the players finally breathed a sigh of relief for a while. "I have passed the Chinese language test, but there are still 5 more to come. Hey. What are we going to do now? Have you never been to school? You've finished your exams, and now you're either going to the dining hall to eat, or you're going back to the dormitory." As soon as these words came out, the other players looked at each other. This is indeed the 3.1 line campus life that ordinary normal students should have. But the problem is, this is in a dungeon, and they have just experienced the Chinese language test, and they have a general understanding of what the school is like. Do they dare to eat the food in the canteen? Do they dare to sleep on the bed in the dormitory? What if by accident, something goes wrong with eating, or a ghost comes over the bed in the middle of sleep? Hiss. Just thinking about it makes people shudder. However, now we can only go out first. We can use this little time now to learn more about this school, which will also be beneficial to our future exams. Yeah. Then there are no exams for the time being. Can we form a team for a while? A new player suggested weakly. This suggestion was immediately recognized by several players. Yes, yes, let's go together. It's safer in numbers. There was an old player who looked at these new players who were lucky enough to pass the first exam and wanted to rely on others so quickly. He shook his head slightly. His peripheral vision unconsciously glanced in one direction, but he only saw one person. The empty seat suddenly looked slightly stunned, and he unconsciously asked, "Where's that angel just now?" The player sitting next to the door replied, She seems to have left, alone." Sotingyu walked out of the teaching building and went directly to the nearest dining hall. The takeout that Sotingyu had packed in the third dining hall had already been given to the naughty boy. I saw that the little guy had no problem after eating it. However, we are still not sure what will happen to people after eating it, so we should not take it lightly. Because their bodies are different. When Sotingyu came to the door of the first dining hall, he saw that many players had come outside the main entrance of the dining hall, but they had been parked around the dining hall and had not entered. Players gather together and communicate with each other from time to time. What should we do? Who dares to eat the food in this canteen? It smells so good. You can smell the barbecue here from so far away. Haha, do you dare to go in and take a bite? At this time, 2 or 3 ants came out of the canteen and began to enthusiastically greet the players outside. Come on, it's free food now. Freshly baked roasted pig's feet, first come, first served. Crispy and delicious fried chicken, who wants to try it? Sotingyu heard the sounds of many nearby players swallowing saliva. Then, Sotingyu felt a little hungry. So, she took out the bread from the inventory and started to eat it. How do you get something to eat? Where did you find it? Aren't you afraid of eating problems? A player next to Sotingyu asked curiously when he saw the former taking out a piece of bread out of thin air. Sotingyu glanced at him. Yellow skin. Black eyes. Chinese language. Preliminary identification showed that he was from China. Although the population of the Celestial Empire is the largest among all countries in the world, it is not really something that can be encountered all the time even if it is 4 billion. I bought this from the mall in the panel system with game currency, Sotingyu explained kindly, thinking that they were both from Tianya, China. At first glance, he is a new player and doesn't even know the inventory. Panel? Mall, the male player was a little confused. Seeing this, Sotingyu opened the panel directly and gestured, "This is the panel. There are many functions in it. You can study it slowly after you clear the dungeon." Upon hearing this, the male player expressed his gratitude politely. "Thank you, beautiful woman. Hey, do you have anything to eat? Can you give me some? Hey, do you have anything to eat? Can you give me some? Are you an senior player? Can you give me something to eat, too? Are you a senior player? Can you give me something to eat, too?" Sutinyu directly took out the bread and started talking to the male players without avoiding anyone. Soon, he was discovered by more players. Those players whose skin color was different from Sutinyu's were even more direct and asked Sutinyu directly for food. Sutinyu took the last few bites of the bread in his hand, then took out a bottle of mineral water, took 2 sips of water, and said with satisfaction on his face, "No." Sutinyu knew very well that no matter how much supplies he had on hand, he could not just give them away for free when someone asked for them. Don't say anything about compassion, because this is the bottom line. Once Sutinyu opens this door, both she and other veteran players will start to receive these tireless requests. The 200,000 old players are, to a certain extent, insignificant among the 400 million players in total. Furthermore, in the real world now, the Great Ice Age is coming, and the same supplies are in short supply. The supplies provided in the mall system have become the only stable source. This source requires game currency to be exchanged. The game coins on hand for veteran players are limited, and they cannot generously donate their supplies just because of a round of dungeons or a moment of sympathy. A more important point. Even if the supplies for 200,000 people are exhausted, it will be difficult to feed billions of people at the same time. Seeing Sutinyu's refusal, the players who wanted food became angry. "How can you be so selfish? How can you be so selfish? We're all starving. We don't have any compassion. We are all starving to death, no compassion at all." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Being a Bug in a Survival Game. Author, Kuanke. Chapter 947. Someday. The weather is calm and sunny. On the stage, a certain invigilator who did not want to be named said, "Next, we invite the outstanding student representative, Angel Su, to come on stage and recite the excellent entrance examination essay, My Entrance Examination." Applause and welcome. Pa bang bang. A series of sparse applause sounded from the audience. Da da da. As a representative of outstanding students, Sutinyu walked onto the stage with small steps, holding a perfect Chinese language test paper in her hand. Today, the sun is shining and the weather is clear. I stepped into this school for the first time. The invigilator and classmates are very friendly and kind. I am very grateful to the school for allowing me to come here to take the exam. I will definitely not let the school down. Cultivate and work hard to get excellent results. With such a firm belief, I confidently stepped into the examination room that exuded a sweet smell. When I got the pure white Chinese language test paper, my fingertips gently rubbed the smooth surface, and there was a trace of the original scent of the printer penetrated into my internal organs without any trace. Ah wow, what a beautiful little roll. I will definitely not let down Xiaojuan. From the bottom of my heart, Xiaojuan feels very honored to be able to come to this world full of flowers and birds singing. Ulagay. That's it, I have an extra responsibility on my weak shoulders. The passionate time of answering questions begins. This concludes my speech, thank you all. Sutinyu bowed to the audience. Extremely friendly and polite. Under the stage, the crowd of onlookers, ghosts, and souls, applauded subconsciously. There was another burst of sparse applause. Sutinyu was not surprised at all that the audience looked moved to tears. Not only did Little Fairy write enough 200 words, and it still exceeded the limit of 272 words. What a good example to follow. Thinking of this, Sutingyu raised her head proudly and walked off the stage with steps that she didn't recognize her relatives. Off stage. A cute new ghost with no eyeballs, who had just come to work and didn't know much about the business, applauded along with the crowd and quietly asked the senior ghosts around him. "Senior, this seems to be off topic, right?" The senior ghost looked shocked, as if he had seen a ghost. He quickly reached out and covered the mouth of the cute new ghost. "Shh. Keep your voice down." The cute new ghost's eyes were empty and confused. "Senior, I'm not a human being. It's useless for you to cover your mouth. I can still speak." Senior Ghost also knew that he was overreacting. He put down his hand with an embarrassed look on his face, and then spoke seriously. "It doesn't matter whether you are a human or a ghost. The most important thing is, don't say that Senior has not warned you. Remember that girl on the stage. When you see her in the future, she will drift as far away as you want." "Ah. Why?" "Because she is not human." Finally, the ghost senior patted the cute new ghost's shoulder in an old-fashioned manner, but he was still in a daze and could not discern the true meaning. "I don't know how long this junior, who has not been severely beaten by society, can be happy." Over. I suddenly wanted to write a short composition about big fish. I only wrote a few words in the text, which made me feel uncomfortable and stuck in my throat. Please don't care about the level of the short composition, because Big Fish let himself go. He is probably at the kindergarten level. Hee, just take it as such. A little bit of happiness for some kids who are going to school. Also, share a happy event with Bayazai. Just yesterday, the number of orders for this book by Big Fish exceeded 1,000. Congratulations. Kinjun is a small watershed. Being able to reach the realm of Kinjun and ascend to the fairyland of Kinjun, allow me to be ridiculous, is inseparable from the subscription support of every little cutie. Some friends have told me to add more updates. Ahem, my schedule has been too chaotic recently, day and night are always reversed, which makes me uncomfortable. I am trying to adjust it back. Let me stabilize Kinjun first, and then slowly work hard. If it is too much, it will not look good. One of the original 2 goals of being able to reach Kinjun has been completed. The remaining one is to work hard to finish the main story this year. Therefore, the subsequent plot will not deviate from the main line. How to write it as happily as possible, Bayazai, whatever you want to see, I will try my best to satisfy you. Here, let's do a small survey first. What kind of copy do you want to see next? For example, puzzle solving, hunting, escape, fairy tales. I have never written a fairy tale, but there is a fairy tale inspiration that I have been putting off writing. For example, Big Fish's solo killing, Big Fish's Kikai sweet double Q, the protagonist group having fun and causing trouble. The conflict scenes with alien players will not appear for the time being, but there will be in the future. For example, train scenes, school scenes, scenic spots scenes, orphanage scenes, processing factory scenes. Another example. You can leave a message to talk about it. If you have any inspiration, we can arrange it later. Being a bug in a survival game. Author, Kuan-K. Chapter 948. Sutingyu pointed in the direction of the canteen. There is food there. Go quickly. If you go late, there may not be any. As soon as these words came out, the faces of the players who wanted food became ugly. You did it on purpose, didn't you? We all know there's something wrong with this canteen. Do you still want us to die? You did it on purpose, didn't you? We all know there's something wrong with this canteen. Do you still want us to die, to die? Sutingyu seemed to be shocked. You actually heard it? You don't look stupid. 1 kill. Why doesn't this man make any sense? Why doesn't this man make any sense? It's not easy. These days, even pigs know that people need to be reasonable. Sutinyu calmly took another sip of mineral water, not knowing how to drop it. The tasteless mineral water suddenly became sweet and delicious. 2 kills. There's food. What's the big deal if we share some? There's obviously food, so what's the big deal if we share some? Sutinyu continued to reply, it's obviously just a little food, so if I don't share it with you, what's the big deal? 3 kills. The players were so angry that they blushed, but they still refused to give up easily, and continued to shout deliberately loudly, trying to make things go away. You know, here, there are many new players who have nothing to eat. Soon, other players nearby heard that there was food, and their attention was attracted. Is there something to eat? Who has it? It's the old players from before. They have some food stored in their inventory. Yes, yes, I just saw a player conjure a piece of bread out of thin air. I saw it too. Since there is food, can you share some with us? It was not just Sutinyu who was discovered to have food on his body by other new players, but also some other veteran players who had strong self-control and no need to hide. When they were hungry, they took out the food directly from their inventory and started eating. Because of the advent of the Great Ice Age, food in the real world has become scarce. In the 2 hours before entering the dungeon, the new players were like headless flies, panicking everywhere, or asking about the parallel paradise on the forum. As for the old players, after the panel was restored to use, they relied on their keen sense of smell honed in game copies to use game currency to exchange for enough food in the mall for a while as soon as possible. Therefore, there is currently no shortage of supplies for old players who have entered this dungeon. There were more and more complaints from new players, which soon aroused dissatisfaction among veteran players. This is the food I worked so hard for, why should I share it with you people? You have no relatives and you still want me to share food with you? What a joke. Am I your father? I reached out and asked your father for food. You are an unfilial son. Want food? No way. In the past, veteran players in the closed beta period were all people with some kind of physical defects. In the real world, to a greater or lesser extent, they would suffer sympathy, eye rolls, ridicule, and cold treatment. Various factors have led to more indifference and resistance to strangers in terms of personality. Not to mention now, being asked to ask for food. You know, now whether in the real world or in the dungeon, food has become a very important material. How can it be distributed casually to some unrelated people? Some veteran players who were annoyed immediately took out various game props in a grumpy manner to intimidate new players. Boom. Bang. The most intuitive ones are some destructive game props. A crater was blasted out of the ground, half of a tree on the roadside was cut directly, and there were also arson and discharge devices. They were all gaudy. I won't mention whether they have some strength, but at least they were very powerful. It's bluffing. Those new players who looked very dissatisfied, now, even those with good minds, could only shut up. On Sutinyu's side, he directly used the meteor rod, stretched it to its longest length, then easily picked it up with one hand and inserted it into the ground. Suddenly, there was an obvious depression on the ground where it came into contact. What's coming? New players who had never been exposed to various magical game props were stunned. The new players who were frightened by the force did not dare to complain loudly anymore, and could only complain and scorn in their hearts. Hey, let's go. What else can I do here? Hey, let's go. What else can I do here? It's torture to stay outside the canteen and smell the fragrance but can't eat it. It's torture to stay outside the canteen and smell the fragrance but can't eat it. At this moment, Sutinyu suddenly took out a set of tables and chairs from the storage ring, and then took out a lot of bread and mineral water from the inventory and placed them on the table. After getting it done, Sutinyu took out a big loudspeaker and started shouting. Brothers, sisters, and compatriots who are entering the dungeon for the first time, come and take a look. Freshly baked bread and sweet and delicious mineral water are on sale online at a discounted price. Most of Sutingyu's original game coins were temporarily lent to the official and have not been returned to her. However, she still has more than 10,000 game coins. Among the foods in the mall system, bread and mineral water are very cost-effective foods. Before entering the dungeon, Sutingyu had already spent 25,000 game coins in exchange for 5,000 pieces of bread and 1,850 bottles of mineral water. With so much bread and mineral water, Sutingyu wouldn't be stupid enough to share it, and it wouldn't be enough, and he might even get into trouble for it. Therefore, Sutingyu thought of a way. A piece of bread costs only 100 game coins, and a bottle of mineral water costs only 50 game coins. Each person is limited to purchasing 3 pieces of bread and 2 bottles of water. The stock is limited, first come first served. Sutingyu's yelling immediately left the nearby players confused. But the meaning behind Sutingyu's words aroused the interest of new players. What is going on? Didn't you just say, don't you give us food? Why are you doing this again? Didn't you just say, don't you give us food, why are you doing this again? Hearing the discussions around him, Sutingyu waved the little index finger of his right hand and explained aloud, No, I didn't give it to you directly, I'm selling it to you, do you understand? A new player raised a question, what is game currency? Is it a reward for copy? But we don't have it now, what is game currency, is it a reward for copying, but we don't have it now. Harm. This is easy to say. You can owe it first. Sutingyu made a calculation, there is a panel system for notarization. If you want to buy bread and mineral water, you all come to me to make a contract first. I will wait for you to clear the customs. If you do it, you can get the copy reward, and then the game currency will be returned to me. Can it still be like this? This can still be like this. Will this work? Will this work? Some new players have already begun to feel excited, but they are still a little bit uncomfortable with Sutingyu's sudden change of attitude and are half believing. Come on, don't miss it if you pass by. Bread only costs 100 game coins, and mineral water only costs 50 game coins. This is a huge sale. Moreover, this bread is not an ordinary bread, eat a piece of bread, it can withstand hunger for up to half a day. If you buy 3 pieces of bread, you can definitely survive the remaining 2.5 days of this copy. Don't miss this opportunity. The time will never come again. Sutingyu continued to shout. If it weren't for the falling stick beside her, she would really be just like a roadside hawker. Finally, a yellow-skinned male player came forward and spoke boldly, Can you trust me to sell this bread and mineral water? Can you really feed me for half a day? Sutingyu nodded, Of course. I redeemed the bread and mineral water in the mall system. If you want to buy it, then when we sign the contract, we can add a clause of if you fake it, you will lose 3. If I cheat, the system will strictly enforce it. In addition, after you get the food, you can also use your panel to check whether this is true. It can still be like this, the male player suddenly realized, then I want 3 pieces of bread and 2 bottles of mineral water. Me too. Me too. I want it too, I want it too. And me. Sutingyu's words were so convincing that the new players were relieved of their last worries and stepped forward one after another, wanting to make a deal with Sutingyu. Wait. Let me say one more thing now. After successfully arousing the enthusiasm of the new players, Sutingyu sat firmly on the diaotai and continued calmly. Because, the amount of food in my inventory is limited, and there are so many of you, it's impossible for everyone to have it. And I am a Chinese person, so I will give priority to selling to Chinese people. There are still 40 minutes left before lunch break. So, in the first 20 minutes, I will give priority to selling to Chinese people. In the last 20 minutes, I will sell to Chinese people. Let's see who comes first, first served. Among the crowd, some yellow-skinned faces were immediately overjoyed. I am me. I am from China. Sell to me first. Sell to me first. Me too, me too. Sell it to me first. Come on, tell me a tongue twister first. In Chinese language, although he has yellow skin, Sutingyu still has to confirm it first, because in the real world, not only Chinese people have yellow skin. As a little sunny flower who has been influenced by the core socialist values since childhood and has grown up vigorously and actively, Sutingyu naturally has no national racial discrimination. But, people are biased. As a native of China, Sutingyu naturally hopes that more players from China can successfully pass the level. But if you completely reject players from other countries, it doesn't feel very kind. Therefore, Sutingyu came up with the idea that in the first 20 minutes, food would only be sold to Chinese players, but in the next 20 minutes, there would be no such restriction. Why sell Chinese players first? Why sell to Chinese players first? Yeah, can't we treat each other equally? That's right, can't we treat each other equally? Sutingyu's approach naturally aroused dissatisfaction among players from other countries. Hearing these voices, Sutingyu raised his hand and made a silence gesture, and then said confidently, "Just because I am from China, is that enough?" Sutingyu paused, then reminded, "I am not the only old player here. You can find other players, or players from your country. There will always be old players willing to trade." Being reminded like this by Sutingyu, the players from other countries suddenly lost their temper. This Chinese female player is right. With so many veteran players, there is no need to buy food from her. As a result, the surrounding players from other countries began to look for other old players who were willing to buy and sell food. This sudden operation also confused the veteran players. Can it still be like this? The old players who heard the news all thought of this sentence in their minds. Good guy. In the mall system, a piece of bread with 5 game coins and a bottle of mineral water with 3 game coins have been directly increased in price to 100 game coins and 50 game coins. What a profiteer! The rest of the old players cast aside a certain instigator in their hearts, and then began to welcome the new players with smiles. This is great. It's not a free donation. You can sell as much as you have, and then use the huge profits to exchange for more bread and mineral water in the mall system. It's a huge profit. At this time, Sutingyu has completed several orders of business one after another. However, in addition to the total purchase limit, Sutingyu also added a new restriction: each person can only purchase a piece of bread and a bottle of mineral water per day. Why add this restriction? Because there are still 2.5 days of dungeon time left. If these players who purchased it are eliminated and directly enter the punishment dungeon, they will have a narrow escape. Wouldn't Sutingyu lose a lot of money? Of course, when Sutingyu decided to let new players take credit, he also took this loss into consideration, so he asked for 100 game coins for a piece of bread and 50 game coins for a bottle of mineral water. For example, as long as 1 out of every 10 players who buy bread successfully passes the level and receives the 7-star dungeon reward, he will not only get his money back, but also make a profit. However, there is one more thing to deal with. Sutingyu once again made a contract with a Chinese player and handed the latter a piece of bread and a bottle of mineral water. Sutingyu suddenly waved to a male player who was queuing up to buy food. "You, come here." One time. Huh? Me? The male player was stunned for a moment and pointed at himself. "Yes, it's you, come here." Sutingyu nodded. The male player who listened to the fish's cry was the male player who asked her how the food appeared in the first place. When Sutingyu did not show her strength to intimidate her, and some of the surrounding players were trying to morally kidnap Sutingyu, the male player silently stood aside and did not join in to morally kidnap her. "I'll make a deal with you. You do some errands for me. Afterwards, I'll provide you with free food for these 3 days. If you don't believe me, you can make a contract first." Sutinyu nodded. "Boss, if you say it, I will definitely do it." Seeing that there is such a good thing, the male player immediately agreed.